So what people in their 60s wish they understood earlier, what I personally keep hearing from people in their 60s, maybe even late 50s, right? And so one of the most common phrases I hear from people in their 60s is surprisingly simple. I wish I would have started sooner. Like they say this all the time, whether it's saving in general, whether it's saving into more safer buckets within the retirement outlay. They wish they would have just done things a little bit sooner. Sometimes they say, I wish I would have paid closer attention when I was younger. Other times it may sound a little bit more like, I used to have one of those policies when I was younger years ago, and then I got rid of it. And so specifically the types of policies that I'm talking about are overfunded high cash value whole life insurance in the role that they play in a retirement income perspective when it comes to stability and safety and things of that nature. So one of the biggest shifts people experience as they get older is realizing that accumulating wealth and living off of wealth are two completely different things, right? In other words, climbing up the mountain is not the same as climbing back down the mountain, right? All of this accumulation that you do is not the same as turning that into income. It doesn't feel the same. The mathematics behind it doesn't work the same. There's a lot that goes into it. And so for 30 or 40 years, many people spend their lives doing exactly what they were told to do, okay? They work hard, they contribute to the 401k, they invest in the market, they build brokerage accounts and IRAs. That's something that we and everybody should also be thinking about. But anyways, there's a lot of anxiety that begins to surface, especially when they're starting to surface these sorts of questions of like, can what I've done for the last 30, 40 years sustain my lifestyle, especially when you incorporate things like inflation and healthcare costs and all this sort of stuff, okay? Because many people slowly realize that the majority of their financial life is still tied to something they ultimately have very little to no control over whatsoever, which is the stock market. Now, to be clear, that does not mean that the stock market is inherently bad by any stretch of the imagination. I am not anti-stock market, and neither are most of the people that I'm talking to on a regular basis, right? What they're realizing though is something that's way more nuanced than that, okay? They're realizing that there's a difference between assets designed primarily for growth and assets designed to create stability, predictability, and dependable cash flow. Anyways, I'll keep going. But once someone transitions into retirement, the emotional experience changes completely, like I was getting at before, because now negative returns don't just affect account balances. That's not all it affects anymore. They affect their lifestyle. It affects their confidence. It affects their spending decisions, right? It affects their travel plans, their generosity, their family conversations, their peace of mind. It affects literally their lifestyle, right? Like literally it affects their life and probably even how long they can even live. And one of the biggest things that I've personally noticed in retirement conversations is that people are not necessarily looking for perfection. That's not necessarily what they're looking for because they can't find it. They will never find it. They're looking for confidence in a particular strategy. They want to know, can I maintain my lifestyle? They want to know, can I help my children and grandchildren in some meaningful way? Can I handle the unexpected healthcare costs? Can I continue living generously as I've been able to do throughout my working years? Can I enjoy my life without constantly worrying about the freaking stock market? That's really what I want. What I want people to understand. Like that's not the main goal. The goal is building a financial life that allows you to continue living intentionally even when uncertainty creeps up. Even when it inevitably shows up, can you still live a very intentional life without the worry of, is this gonna last me? Okay? Because eventually retirement stops being a math problem and it starts becoming an emotional one.